Good evening, everybody. Give me a thumbs up in chat if you guys can hear me okay. And we'll go ahead and get started. Welcome to the stream. We're going to try and keep it simple and short tonight. I don't want to be on here too long. Got a lot of work to do behind the scenes on stuff. So let me know if you guys can hear me. I'll go ahead and get started. All right, got some thumbs up. What's up, everybody? Good evening, Jessica, Tammy, Matthew, Tina, April, Missy, Matthew, Alan, Mystic, Tony, Forrest, Joy, Susie, Terry, Caitlin. All right. What's up, everybody? Let's go ahead and dive into this forecast a little bit. So the only change to the forecast this morning to now was the marginal risk has been shifted further to the north. It now is all the way up towards Big Rapids, Clare, over toward Bad Axe. Those areas did get included into the marginal risk. So it got shifted a little bit further north. That was kind of expected, but overall, not surprised at all. The latest models have shifted the instability axis a bit further north, which is why you're seeing the correlation on the risk being shifted further north. So what are your risks? Number one, it is a level 2 out of 5. Level 2 is a slight risk. The terminology is provided by the SPC. It's slight is just a terminology for the risk. It is level 2 out of 5. In yellow, that's going to be for South and Southeast Michigan. So areas included in that slight risk are going to be Detroit metro area, Ann Arbor, Monroe, Adrian, Jackson, Coldwater, Three Rivers, Kalamazoo, Battle Creek, Hastings, Lansing, Flint, just south of Port Huron there. Go ahead and say Port Huron is borderline there. And then marginal risk now all the way up for Bad Axe, Saginaw, Mount Pleasant, Clare, Big Rapids, Fremont, Alma, Ionia, Grand Rapids Metro, Muskegon, Holland, South Haven, Benton Harbor. You guys are in the lower risk, which is a marginal risk level 1 out of 5. So what are the hazards tomorrow? Let's go ahead and start with the main hazard tomorrow, large hail. Highest in the slight risk area in South and East Michigan. They're in the yellow highlighted areas. Lower risk up further to the north and west, but still a risk nonetheless. Next risk is going to be for damaging winds. This is another change from the 1:30 p.m. outlook. The very far extreme southeast portion east of US 23, south of Highway 96 there, 69 actually over in East Michigan, is going to be a 15% contour for damaging wind gusts. Anywhere else in the state has a lower 5% risk. So it is a risk nonetheless, just highest off in the south and east. And then finally, the third risk is going to be for a tornado or two possible. The entire risk area, going back to the marginal and slight risk, the entire risk area, no matter if you're up in Clare or down in Adrian or Monroe, you have a tornado risk tomorrow, according to the SPC. It is highest currently in that reddish brown area in South and East Michigan, where that slight risk is also correlating. So a pretty easy forecast here. The slight risk has a higher chance of all hazards possible, but a lower chance in darker green surrounding that slight risk. So the overall concern tomorrow, large hail, number 1 threat, damaging wind, number 2 threat, a tornado or 2 possible, number 3 threat, okay? As far as our thoughts and timing goes, let's go ahead and dive into the latest model data from the HRRR model. So the timing on this is going to be as early as noon, 12 p.m. tomorrow in West Michigan. This is the current radar right now out in Illinois and Iowa. So this model has a pretty good handle on what's happening out there right now. We're going to move this forward into the overnight hours. We see rain across most of Michigan. So tonight, expect there to be rain and perhaps a few thunderstorms likely across the state. There is a extremely small chance that the very far southwest corner of Michigan may get a stronger storm or two. Overall, that risk is very, very low. But I do want to mention that just because the SPC does highlight portions of Berrien County here in a very small risk here, just a very, very small corner of Michigan tonight in that marginal risk. Overall, not concerned with that at all. It should just be passing showers and storms overnight tonight. That's going to clear the state roughly right around 8 to, we'll say 8 a.m. really, should be the time frame we should see these storms clear out, and cloud cover is expected to also clear out around the same time frame. So cloud cover, if that clears out, will destabilize for round 2. and we move into the afternoon hours. Here is noon. We have storms developing in West Michigan from basically Big Rapids all the way south here to Fort Wayne, Indiana. That's at noon. This is 1 o'clock. It continues to develop and push eastward. Here's 2 o'clock. Here's 3 o'clock. Here's 4 o'clock. And then here is 5 o'clock and exiting the state by 6 or 7. So noon to 6 really is that main time frame here in the latest model trends. So again, 12 p.m. on the west side of the state, clearing the state by 6. So between that 12 and 6 time frame is where you're going to fall in somewhere. We do have a timing map posted on our Facebook page. It is pinned to the very top of our page. So if you guys want to see timing and a map wise, go check that out. I don't have that pulled up, unfortunately, for this stream, but overall, it is posted for you guys to look at. I just went ahead and posted that. So if you want to go see that, check it out. But overall, the hazards are, again, all hazards possible, mainly a hail threat, damaging wind threat, and then a low chance for a tornado or two possible. And the reason we're not really concerned at this point for a higher risk for tornadoes is a few things. But first, go ahead and dive into some ingredients here. And I'll mention the main thing I want to mention here is a little bit of a conditional risk here. So the instability, what you're seeing on your screen right now, looking at how this develops here, we see a push into the area early morning here. This is 8 a.m. So this is right behind that morning rain showers and storms that move out of the area by 8 a.m. We already have instability working really far behind this. And that is because if we look at our cloud cover maps, the cloud cover is broken up pretty early on in the forecast period. And this is going to be your clearing right about here. We see a very broken cloud coverness across Kalamazoo. That'll work eastward here. Now, that broken cloud cover is going to be key to destabilization. If we don't get much in the way of sun tomorrow, the overall threat lowers. If we do have sunshine, the threat goes up. Right now, most models are showing broken cloud cover to clear skies being likely. So that is the biggest trend we're going to watch tomorrow across the risk area is our cloud cover. And then also how well our instability is going to return. So this model is showing broken cloud cover, and that allows for our instability to rise right back up into right around 1,000 to 2,000 joules here, which is quite a bit of surface-based CAPE. It's also an uncapped atmosphere, so there's no cap in place to prevent storms from going up. But here is the area of roughly 1 to 2,000 surface-based CAPE, roughly probably going to be closer to 1,500 or so, but still a good number to get severe storms all across that risk area, and also shifted further north towards the Mount Pleasant area, which is why you're also seeing that that area in that updated risk. So overall, that is the thermodynamic profile. So that's going to fuel the storms. But what about our wind shear? Now, our wind shear is actually decent tomorrow. There's borderline good wind shear here, but I do want to draw attention to why we're not concerned for tornadoes. So this is called a hodograph up here. It's basically a measure of wind with height. So the purple and red is your lowest part of the atmosphere. Now, you see how this curves to the right? That means that our wind shear in the first to third kilometer around that area is formatted in a way where it turns with height. So it could try to get some updrafts rotating, but as we get into the mid and upper levels, it really does not have much in the way of rotation at all. It just kind of goes in a squiggly little line there. So that is why we're not concerned overly for tornadoes, just because that is not curved out. We want to see that more so carved out further to the right. It's just barely carved in the first couple of kilometers here in the atmosphere. So that is why we're not overly concerned. There's some turning there, which catches our eye, but it's not going to be something we're going to say, hey, we got to be on alert for tornadoes. Nothing like that. It's a chance, but it's a low chance. Okay. And also, what I can also point out here as well, our spin in the atmosphere is not really high. We want to see above 200 SRH or storm relative helicity. We have about 150 or so forecasted for right now. If that goes up and the hodograph looks a bit better, we could see an increase in the risk for a tornado or two possible, but right now it does look to be quite low, but a non-zero chance. So with that being said, that is all I have to cover for you guys. If you guys got questions, feel free to ask. We'll ask that you guys hold your questions about your specific areas. There is a map provided for a reason. If you don't know how to locate yourself on a map, let us know. Message us. We will help you with that. But overall, I cannot be on here for an hour answering everybody's questions about your city, this city. We try to help as many people as possible. So if you don't know where you live on the map, feel free to message the page. I'll help you out there. But overall, the highest risk is going to be in the yellow area, but the entire dark green and yellow areas do have a risk for all hazards possible. It's just highest in the yellow area in Southeast Michigan. Can you run the time frame future forecast again? Yes, I can. Let's go back here to the model. This is just one model too. We'll go ahead and look at the NAM model so you guys have an idea. It's basically the exact same thing, carbon copy. So here's the forecasted radar for right now. Let's go ahead and move into the overnight hours. We could see some storms try to move into West Michigan here tonight. So we'll have to watch that a little bit closer, but I don't expect any strong or severe storms tonight. Just be rain and thunderstorms should be the norm. That's going to clear out of the state tomorrow morning. Storms pop up roughly 11 a.m. to noon, which is right here in West Michigan, and it continues to develop as it pushes further to the east. Which is also why you see that slight risk displaced further to the east, because these storms will take a minute or two to get organized and push eastward. Okay, hope that makes sense. So this is noon right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And by 6 o'clock, it is out of the state with just some scattered rain showers behind it. NAM3 model, it's not been a good model so far this year. It did handle yesterday pretty well in the plains. It didn't handle today very well at all. But we can look at this. It does have a pretty good similar picture what the HRRR is showing. Rain moves out in the morning. There's your line of storms. This is 1 p.m., a little bit slower on timing. So this is 1 p.m. Here's 2 p.m. Here's 3 p.m. There's 4. There's 5. There's 6. And there's 7. So it's about an hour behind what the HRRR model is showing. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. So right around noon to 1 p.m. is the expected time frame for storms to begin firing up in West Michigan. Will the hail be bigger than ½ inch? So the hail threat tomorrow up to 1 inch. Would not be shocked if storms remain more isolated, meaning not linear. I would expect there to be a little bit more of a hail threat than over a quarter size, maybe $half size. But overall, the risk for right now is going to remain at quarter size hail. But I could see that being upgraded here. Or not upgraded, but overall, I could see a few larger hailstones being reported tomorrow. Will this be upgraded to an enhanced risk? Unlikely. Very unlikely. Is there any area of concern with what you're seeing now? Yeah, the entire risk area is the area of concern, just highest off to the south and east in the yellow portion. The lake is very high. Yeah, I feel your pain, Christine. Hopefully you're going to be okay over there. Are we thinking EF2 tornado? Okay, so in terms of tornado intensity, we can't predict intensity of tornadoes. Tomorrow is not a day that screams anything strong at all. Like there's barely even a chance, in my opinion, of a tornado given the parameters today. It's not a zero risk, but in terms of intensity, weak. There is nothing signifying strong tornadoes tomorrow at all. I'm not sure if you heard us from somewhere, but that's not the case at all. Is the weather coming through tonight going to be a storm? How much wind and rain? Southeast Michigan, no, not really. Could see a rumble of thunder. But overall, if there's going to be a stronger type of storm tonight, it's going to be over in southwest Michigan towards Kalamazoo, Benton Harbor area. Very tiny sliver of Berrien County is under a marginal risk, which is level 1. So it's a very, very low risk. I don't expect much in the way of anything to happen overnight tonight. I feel like these are firing up past Kalamazoo. So yeah, Kalamazoo over there on the west side of the state. These are going to fire probably inland, but there's a possibility they can come over the lake as well. But the HRRR model shows a little bit more convection firing a little bit further east there. So yeah, if that model is correct, the further west you are, the less chance you have. So like right here, here's your initiation. So like Berrien County, Cass County, you guys are already out of that threat, really. So further west you go, the less of a threat you're going to have, because these storms are likely going to take some time to develop. So the further west you are, the better possibility of a lesser threat you have. Do you think I should be on high alert? I have to pick my brother up from school? No, not really. Just make sure that you have identified safe places to take shelter in the event of a tornado. It's not a threat that I would adjust your plans unless they're outdoor plans. Obviously, you got to address those, but I wouldn't take off work for this. I wouldn't do anything like that just for this threat. It's not a very high threat, but it's a threat nonetheless. Alexis, I will do a live tonight for you on the Great Lakes page if you want me to. Should I gas my generator up? So not expecting too much in the way of windy conditions. So power outages tomorrow likely not going to be too much of a concern. I would say isolated at best. Depends on where the strongest storms are and if they can produce wind. The wind is honestly a lower threat than hail, and so I would expect there to be more so hail reports tomorrow than wind reports. So not overly concerned. Why did that sounding say tornado in the lower corner? So it says tornado over here. This is just a guess based on the atmosphere. You have to have a lot more knowledge than just looking at that and saying, hey, tornado. It's a lot deeper than that. You have all this data to look at. And the data in this profile here tells us that tornadoes are not going to be likely tomorrow. They're not impossible. I want to make that clear. They're not a zero threat. There is a low threat for them. It's just not something we're looking at and going, oh, wow, look at this tornado threat. Nothing like that. Anyway, these storms are going to weaken. April, I don't see that happening. The only way these storms are going to either struggle or not form at all is if cloud cover sticks around and we don't destabilize. So tomorrow morning is going to be key to this forecast to watch cloud cover and also our surface instability. If that doesn't come in tomorrow morning, then we're going to have a talk about if the storms are going to even be severe. What are we thinking in terms of upgrade? I don't see an upgrade at all. I don't see even for hatch tail. I don't see an upgrade for hatch tail at all. I don't recall if they have a 15 hatch. They may go 15 hatch if they do, but for 30 hatched, I don't think they will for hail. Possibly, Amanda. You're over there in the southwest portion of the state. You could have a stronger storm tonight, but I don't think it's likely. I can see a storm, yeah, but a strong storm, unlikely. Detroit Weather Service says main threat is wind. Does that go for all risk area? The wind risk is highest further to the east right now, where you see this yellow area over here. So in Detroit's area, they're mentioning it's a higher risk because that's where their forecast office is located at. Otherwise, the majority of population outside that 15% wind risk is just a 5%, so a lower risk, but it's highest in Detroit. Yeah, Fordo, it definitely is. Hail is the primary concern tomorrow. Will we be live tomorrow? Yes, we will be live. I'll be here covering radar. My house is actually dead center in the middle of the slight risk here. So I'm going to try and get out and chase, but if I don't have a chance to, I'll be here streaming radar. We have Ben, we have Drew, we have Chris all going out. I believe Alex and Chandler will be out as well. I'm not sure what Joel's plans are for right now, but for the moment, we have a full crew on tomorrow. We'll have you guys covered with live chasing in the state, as well as potentially Ohio as well. So I have some coverage from Ohio to go over as well for some of the chasers who are going to be down there. But I think the majority of our chasers on Michigan here are going to be stuck, or not stuck, but more so targeting southeast. Thanks for the deep dive. Makes you feel better. Yeah, no problem, Andrew. No problem, Mike. This is what we love to do. Any severe risk in the state, we're going to cover it like this for you guys. If you guys got questions, you guys will know about it. Like you guys are going to be our priority here. Storm chasing is looked at and a lot of people by like adrenaline junkie, stuff like that. No, it's good to chase, but it's also it's fulfilling to know we're doing a good service here for you guys. It's doing what we love and also providing you guys with information. And we love doing that as well. So it meets the best of both worlds. Any outbreaks on our way after this? Fordo, no. I don't see anything. Cool down likely for next weekend, or should I say this weekend. Overnight temperatures may touch freezing, so we could be looking at some hard freezes coming up. But overall, it's going to cool down in the 50s probably for a few days, then right back into the 60s and 70s. Will Michigan see severe storms tonight? It is unlikely. It is unlikely. All right, for tonight's rain, though, looking on, we can actually take a peek at live radar. Give me 1 second here, guys. I can pull this up. So it should be moving in here tonight. Fairly, I mean, honestly, rain is already kind of moving in right now on the west part of Michigan here. Go ahead and pull this up. So here's your rain for right now, already in West Michigan. So it's already raining over here. The more so storm type of activity is still back here in Wisconsin and also Iowa here. It's going to take a little bit to push up into the area, but that's going to be the main concern for showers and storms, as well as these storms out ahead here in Illinois and parts of Indiana here. It's going to push up northeastward towards Michigan. So between now and midnight, expect showers and storms to move in. A very low chance of a stronger storm. This should just be remaining, or this should just be remnant type of showers and storms. So not concerned for that. Possibility of slight moving north. It's possible. I could see that being the case tomorrow. Maybe just a bit, like a county or two further north, not too much. But yeah, I could definitely see that happening. When is the next SPC risk and how can I find out for every time? So if you guys want to know the SPC risk, it is publicly available. Hop on a Google browser and type in spc.noaa.gov, spc.noaa.gov. It'll take you to this website right here. That is your severe weather outlook. Click on the CONV outlook right here where I'm circling. You click that, you should see this page. This is day 1, day 2, day 3, and day 4 outlooks. Okay, so we can click on this. This is day 1. There's your convective outlook. So on and so forth. Day 2, this is for tomorrow. There's your convective outlook for tomorrow. This is publicly available, guys. The information we share is not behind paywalls or anything like that. You guys are welcome to hop on there and look at it yourself. There's day 3. So day 3, there's a risk to our south. I'll give it that much, but it's to our south right now. And then day 4 through 8 is this page right here, and I don't see any risk there for day 4 to 8. So that is how you get to the SPC. So if we see clouds in the early morning hours and afternoon, the threat for severe storms will be lowered. Likely, yes, April, unless we somehow get instability to return without cloud cover or minimal cloud cover. Otherwise, I think we're going to need sun to get this risk up and going because we're going to need instability tomorrow to fuel these storms. Holland is in the risk, Heather. Although you are further west, so there's a lower risk over there, but you are still in the risk. So I'm not going to say you're out of the woods at all just yet. But if these storms fire a bit further inland, then yeah, Holland will be out of the risk. It's going to depend on where these storms fire up at. I live in a second floor apartment that does not have a ground level safe space. I also live in Grand Blanc where the recent tornado went through. What would you suggest going to? Okay, would you suggest going to a friend's in the basement? So, yeah, that's a good idea for one. But for two, if you want to stay in your apartment complex, the first floor hallway is probably your safest place. And honestly, apartment complexes are usually pretty well protected. So as long as the hallway doesn't have too many windows there, or if you're centered, center part of the apartment complex, you are fine there. But if you want to go underground, then yeah, find a friend or a relative or a family with a basement. Is there something that tells you what lightning is going to be tomorrow? I believe, honestly, yes. I have lightning flash density somewhere. Let me see if I can find it for you, Matthew. These storms will have lightning tomorrow. That's a pretty much guarantee, I think, at this point. Unless we don't get the instability, then we could be talking something different here. But let's go ahead and take a look here at a regional look real quick and go to severe lightning. There it is. Lightning flash rate. All right, let's go bring this in. So this map is showing where the heaviest lightning flash density is going to be. We see it move into Michigan tonight, which is why we're seeing showers and storms. Tonight, we could see some lightning and thunder overnight. But tomorrow, along that line here, we got to move to 18Z for this. There we go. Back it up. Perfect. There you go. So there's your lightning tomorrow at 1 p.m. You see it just starting to form there in West Michigan. It grows stronger 2 p.m., 3 p.m. Let's go actually take a look at it further north here as well. There we go. There's 4 p.m. and there's 5 p.m. So yes, lightning is going to be likely tomorrow with these storms. What owls? Wow, wow. What hours will be live casting? I'll probably be on here as soon as the storms go up. 11:30, 12 o'clock, around that time frame. We'll be here. Yes, Tina. Southeast Michigan is highest threat. I am 5 minutes behind, guys. I'm going to skip some comments here. I apologize. I'm losing the battle here between comments here. Any flood concerns? Not really, Andrew. Not really. Yeah, what about a trailer? If you are in a trailer, your best bet is to drive away into a substantial structure. If your community is lucky enough to have a shelter, go to the shelter. Otherwise, hop in your car and drive away from the storm and to a substantial shelter. It could be a Walmart, could be a strip mall, a gas station, even. Although gas stations are not really recommended, I would take it over a trailer. Is there a chance for the threat for tornadoes to get downgraded? Honestly, I think that could be on the table. I think it could go back down to 2%. Personally, I'm not too high in that threat, but I could also see it, you know, sticking around because what models did was last night we had a pretty good curvature in the hodograph and the shear and stuff like that. So we were kind of thinking, okay, maybe 5% risk, yeah. And then overnight models and this morning's models and this afternoon's models have kind of came back to earth, so to speak, and kind of weakened that shear. So that's why I'm kind of leaning towards going back to a 2%. But again, I think the SPC will hold the 5 until they absolutely are sure that there's not going to be an abundance of shear tomorrow. Which is another thing we're going to look at tomorrow as well. We have upper air soundings and stuff like that we can look at. Like we actually, instead of like pulling up this, which is an X-ray of the atmosphere, this is a forecast. We can actually get real-time data in this format tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. So that's going to tell us a lot of information tomorrow morning at about 9 a.m. or so. Why don't we cover the UP? The UP is not in this risk. We do cover the UP a lot, actually, about snow and stuff like that. We actually mentioned it a lot in our forecasts. The UP tonight will have storms. They're in that light green area. That's where the storm threat is going to be. So Marquette, Houghton, Ironwood, Iron Mountain, Escanaba. Then tomorrow, the risk is well off to your south for severe weather, but you do have a threat up there in the southern part of the UP for a storm or two. That is not severe. Yeah, guys, this is not going to go moderate. Like I don't. This is not going to be an enhanced risk either. I'm not sure why there's a lot of talk about upgrades. This is likely not going to be upgraded. Yeah, Davidson, I'd say is in the slight risk. You're pretty close to it. What's the worst thing that could happen that would make you concerned? Like something that would make you pretty worried? Nothing really with the setup. I mean, significant uptrends between now and tomorrow morning are unlikely. So at this point, I think this forecast is pretty much locked in. It's just going to be a matter of watching cloud cover tomorrow. The only thing that would make me a little bit more impressed is if the wind shear would become a little bit better for tornadoes. Although I don't expect that happening at all. But it wouldn't make me overly concerned at all. Oh, I watched the SPC Outlook website. What times do they update? So the SPC will update different times at different days, different times. The day one Outlook and also day two Outlook are due by 2 a.m. And then throughout the day, they're updated at 9 a.m., 12:30 p.m., 4 p.m., and 9 p.m. The day two is issued at 2 a.m. and it's updated at 1:30 p.m. on day two. And day three is issued, I believe, closer to 3 or 3:30 in the morning. And that is not upgraded or updated until the day two time frame. My son and I recently took a spotter class, enjoyed it. Yes, if anybody is interested in learning about storm structure and stuff like that, Skywarn classes are amazing. Is Burton in a slight risk? I'd say Burton is on the edge of the slight risk, so I'm going to say yes. Flint as well. I say you're on the slight risk, which is level 2 out of 5, which is the highest risk we have tomorrow. Yeah, for those of you asking about your specific cities and how bad it's going to be, stuff like that, we really don't know. All we have to go off of is modeled radar and data. We cannot tell you exactly where storms are going to hit. All we can tell you is there's going to be a line of storms that could be a broken line or line segments that's going to be pushing through the state. So, could areas get missed? Yeah. Okay, let's go ahead and say that. Yeah, some areas could get missed, but the majority of people out ahead of this line, the majority of population will be impacted some way, shape, or form, whether it's by severe or just by the line itself. It's just rain, some winds, or whatever be it. We can't really tell you exactly where exact stuff's going to happen. All I can tell you is broad threats. Tomorrow during the live stream, different story. We're looking at live data on radar. We can tell you exactly where it's going to be going. Do you think anything bad for Ovid? I mean, I really can't answer that. I mean, you're in the risks, so yes, I'd say there could be a possibility of some bad storms. It's just going to be a matter, if it's not a guaranteed lock. We're going to get severe weather, but you are in the risk. The risk on your screen right now is for tomorrow. There is really no risk tonight for severe weather. If it's going to happen, it's going to happen probably in far southwest Michigan, but right now that threat is extremely low. Jordan, I think there is potential for a downgrade of the tornado risk, but given Flint is in the 2%, 5% area, I don't really think it's going to matter much if it's downgraded. I think the risk continues no matter if it's downgraded or not. Tricia, this is the only day tomorrow we're kind of concerned for severe weather. After that, we could see some storms. Looking at the SPC outlook for day 3, all of Michigan's in a storm risk, but severe weather is off to our south here in Indiana, Ohio, and Illinois again. So we're not concerned for day 3 at this point. In fact, I haven't even looked at day 3. I'll be honest with you guys. I've been so focused on the past couple of days here. I have not even looked ahead to what would that be? What day would that be? Thursday? Yeah, Thursday. What is May looking like for severe weather? Is it going to be active month? I honestly have not looked at the active pattern in a while. I'm due to do that, honestly. I have just not looked at it. Last I saw, I believe it's going to slow down here a little bit into later April, early May. But past that, I couldn't answer. So am I, Julie. I hope I have a couple thunderstorms overnight at my house. I'd enjoy that a lot. Yes, Howell is in the slight risk. If there are going to be power outages, how cold is it going to be? Thursday, 50s and 60s, UP in the high 40s. There's our freeze potential coming in for the weekend. Friday is going to be roughly your same temperature, upper 40s, low 50s, and then the weekend cools off. So not bad. It's not going to be overly hot, not going to be overly cold. All these maps are so fascinating. Now, there's a lot that goes into forecasting, Abby. There's a lot. I've seen some predictions that say July will be the highest threat for severe weather. So in Michigan, June is our most active month for tornadoes, but really keying in a little bit later, July, August, September, right around the late July, early August timeframe, there usually is a good pattern that sets up. We call it the ring of fire. And that could vary a few weeks, a few months, it can happen in June, July, August, or September. But where the upper level pattern sets up and basically storms just kind of ride the ridge into Michigan, we call them MCSs a lot of times. Those are the types of systems that we look for, like derechos and stuff like that as well. Those are usually mid to late summer type of patterns that we get a lot of times during July. So June, July, August is usually our peak months of severe weather here in Michigan. So the fact we're talking about severe risks as early as back in February this year, we had a couple tornadoes happen, but we're talking a lot of storms here in Michigan for being early in the season. We are not even the peak season yet. What website you show? This one on your screen is the SPC Outlook. Thumb area got severe weather last year, midsummer. Yeah, a lot of people got severe weather. A lot of people are going to remember August 24th for a while. That was a night of, honestly, here, uh, running radar and chasing. That night felt different. After that first tornado in Grand Rapids that happened, then we had that one near Weberville. That was just, it was a different night. Then we had 5 over here in the east side part of Michigan, all in Wayne, Monroe, and Washtenaw counties. Yeah, Kyle, August sure was wild last year. Never forget August 24th. I probably won't for a while, if not, forever. That night was a nightmare. Exactly. And for our chasers too, because they're moving so fast, but the storms themselves were just so severe. Like their winds were 80 plus miles an hour in spots alone. And then you had those, tornado risks. So what ingredients would have to be in place for there to be a high risk? A lot. A lot. I'm not going to dive into that right now because that is a lot of synoptic talk. I don't want to bore people, but there has to be quite a bit of stuff that comes together to get a high risk. Amanda, you should send that in to us if you can. I would love to see that video. No, Jordan, the storm season is just starting. After this one, though, I don't see much in the way of severe weather threat on the horizon. I'm going to go ahead and take a peek really quick at Thursday here to see if what's happening here. It's just a shortwave or a mini low pressure system. That's all I really see. It's not even that significant. Just a little bit of cape in the area. I don't see anything there. Just maybe some hail. Yeah, I don't really see much of anything. Yeah, I'm not too concerned. But for the future, though, this is probably the last risk we're going to see for a while. There could be some storms back on Thursday. Definitely possible, but not severe. And looking at the long term, we have wind shear and instability overlapping. I don't see much in the way of anything here. That's tomorrow on the GFS model. I'll have to dive in a little bit deeper later on because we can look at a lot of different things like the ensemble members, different models, stuff like that. But overall, I'm not really seeing much in any way of severe past this, which is good news. We kind of need a break, truthfully. Yeah, so back to regular scheduled programming. All right, I see a lot of people just hopping in here. So I've been on here about 40 minutes or so. Appreciate you guys watching. I'll go ahead and recap everything here, and I'll go ahead and hop off here. So if you got questions, listen closely. I'll try to get everything covered. So before I start, though, I will bring in this really quickly. Just give me 1 second. I'm going to bring in the timing map to show you guys so I can actually show you and not have to direct you to the page. Here we go. 1 second while this loads in. There we go. Perfect. All right. So tomorrow we have a slight risk, level 2 out of 5 in yellow for portions of South and Southeast Michigan. On your screen there, that is going to be your risk. I can blow that up a little bit better there. So area, if you can't read that, areas included in the highest risk are going to be Detroit, Pontiac, Lansing, Hastings, Kalamazoo, Three Rivers, Coldwater, Battle Creek, Jackson, Adrian, Ann Arbor, Monroe. You guys are in the highest risk. Okay. Further north, you do have a marginal level 1 in dark green. So Bad Axe, Saginaw, Mount Pleasant, Clare, Big Rapids, Fremont, Muskegon, Grand Rapids, Holland, South Haven, Benton Harbor. You guys are in the lower risk, but a risk nonetheless. Within these colored areas, besides light green is just non-severe storms. Okay. just some regular old thunderstorms further north. But if you are in dark green and yellow, you guys have the potential for all hazards tomorrow. Large hail is going to be the highest threat out of all the threats: wind, hail, tornadoes. Your hail is going to be the primary concern. Highest risk in yellow, lower risk in the reddish brown color around those areas. Second risk is going to be damaging winds, particularly in eastern Michigan, Metro Detroit area, down to Monroe, Adrian, Ann Arbor, Pontiac. You guys, all the way up to Port Huron, basically are in the highest risk for damaging wind gusts tomorrow. Around that higher risk area, there is a lower risk. We call it a 5% risk, and that's going to be for damaging wind gusts as well. And then the last threat tomorrow is tornadoes. The overall threat for tornadoes tomorrow is, in our opinion, quite low. Looking at the forecasted, what we call a hodograph, which is a turn of wind with height, we see a little bit of curvature here in the third kilometer or so, about the first kilometer, honestly. Past that, though, it becomes a conjumbled mess. So if we wanted to have tornadoes, we want to see this curved out and kind of more so elongated, so to speak. So the fact we have some curvature there draws our attention, but overall it's not curved enough for us to go, hey, we got to watch for tornadoes closely tomorrow. It's just going to be it's a possibility, but it's not a high possibility. Okay. So if this becomes more so curved out, we'll have to watch that a little bit closer. But for right now, what is in place is quite good, in my opinion. I could see this risk being downgraded, honestly, tornado risk, honestly, being downgraded tomorrow if trends hold. But overall, the 5% risk is still in place for Southeast Michigan, and then the 2% around that in green. The timing on this is going to be roughly 12 p.m. in the east, 12 p.m. in the west, and then clearing the state by 6 or 7 p.m. in the east. So 12 to 2 p.m. for the red areas, yellow areas 2 to 4, green areas 3 to 6, and then blue areas 4 to 7 p.m. So it's not going to be a nighttime threat. It's going to be a pretty quick moving line of storms that moves through. Overall reflectivity here, or forecasted radar, should I say. Here's tonight. Showers and storms possible in the state. No severe weather is expected. Looking at the models, this does clear out by roughly 8 a.m. We have broken cloud cover expected to full sun expected. That should destabilize the atmosphere. But if cloud cover holds, we'll have to kind of watch trends closely, because cloud cover will limit the severe threat in terms of how much fuel for storms there's going to be. But this model is showing we're going to clear out, and we're also going to destabilize. And that's going to force storms up and get them going here in West Michigan at noon. So there's noon, here's 1, here's 2, here's 3, here's 4, and here's 5 p.m. and then also 6 p.m., clearing the state into Ontario and northern Ohio. That's just one model. The other models are pretty much in line. The NAM3 model is showing just an hour before, or hour slower, should I say. This shows storms firing up at 1 p.m. Right here is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So between that 12 p.m. and 7 p.m. time frame is going to be your centered time frame. Again, your timing map is posted on our Facebook page. It is pinned as well as our forecast that is written. It is all on our Facebook page for your viewing pleasure. I would highly suggest going to read that. It has a lot of information packed into it. So if you guys still have questions to ask, feel free to read that. That should answer everything as well. So with that being said, I'm going to hop off here. Overall, no risk tonight. The risk does start tomorrow, roughly 12 p.m. We will be live for an update in the morning, as well as live chasing and radar coverage tomorrow. We expect to have to cover a few things here in the state, but hopefully this downtrends to a risk we don't have to worry about. But in the event of severe weather, which we honestly expect at this point, we'll be live here on the page covering it, both in the field and on radar. So with that being said, I'm going to hop off here. You guys do me a favor and smash the like button for me on the stream. I would really appreciate that. And late night crew, we may go live later tonight for some models if you guys want. So let me know if you guys want to do that. But otherwise, we'll see you guys tomorrow morning on an update stream, and again around noon for our live coverage. Thanks guys for watching. You guys have a safe night.